Welcome to This Just In, the show bringing you the latest advancements in healthcare, strategy, innovation, and public policy. And now, for the fastest voice in healthcare, here's your host, Justin Barnes.
Welcome back to This Just In Radio Show, broadcasting live from HIMSS25 in sunny Las Vegas. I'm very excited to introduce my next guest, great friend of the show, great friend of mine personally, Matt Ethington, co-founder and CEO of ChronicCareIQ. A big welcome back to the show, my good friend.
Thank you, Justin. It's always good to see you.
It's always great to see you, my brother. I assume it's been when did you get in town? A few good days for you here?
I got in yesterday morning.
Okay.
So got to navigate, look around a little bit, have some fun, and up and at 'em early.
Yes.
Since we're on East Coast time.
Yes. I know. Actually, I have to force myself to sleep in because if not, because my days go until midnight or so, and if I don't sleep in a little bit, well, we sleep until 7. I mean, because normally we're up at 5. When we're out here, we're up at, you were up at 4:30, 5 o'clock.
It was
with the time
different
change.
when I was 20.
Exactly. Yeah, much different. Much different. Well, thank you for joining us and thank you for making time to join the show. What progress are you most excited about seeing in the industry today?
You know, I would say that we've reached a true inflection point around chronic care management. We're seeing new care models. We're seeing existing organizations interested in doing more about proactive outreach to patients. We're seeing new technologies that make it easy for even doctors in small practices to build robust care management and proactive healthcare plans. So I'm super excited. There's more than 30 reimbursements now that pay doctors to keep extra tabs on these high-risk patients. So it's all happening, and there's just tangible evidence everywhere, and that's what I'm most excited about.
Well, the reason I'm so excited when you agreed to come on the show, you live and breathe this on a daily basis. The amount of wisdom and knowledge that you have locked in your head about what's working out there, what's not, why doctors should do this, why it's great for the patient. You're also a patient yourself. So give me 30 seconds on kind of you as a patient and how you became a patient through some of your own personal care issues.
Yeah, so I learned in the emergency room at the age of 30 that I had type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
The doctors told, that's the kind where you have to give yourself shots. A little bit of unusual age for that type of patient. And I went home from the hospital with 2 prescriptions and a pep talk. Right? And I've got to poke 8 holes in myself every day. And it was very unsettling and just, with the instructions to find a doctor.
Right.
So I learned on my own, even as a young, savvy, certainly willing to work person, it's kind of hard to navigate healthcare.
Right.
So I became patient or passionate about giving people better ways to interact with providers so that they could get better care.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. And that was a precipice for ChronicCareIQ. I mean, really, you were an entrepreneur before that, had an EHR company. That's kind of where ChronicCareIQ came from, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. It's really hard to be sick.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be a bother to the doctor. You don't want to be a bother to your family. You don't want to terrorize people. Like if they think you're worried, they'll be extra worried. And it's just something everybody has to deal with alone. And it's really, what really helps is knowing that your doctor has your back.
Right.
But it's kind of difficult in today's care where they got to see 30, 40 patients a day and just keep things moving to keep the lights on.
Grind,
so building these models to increase communication at scale is really what I wanted to do.
Love it. So what are you working on currently that you're most passionate about?
So the company is growing, as I told you, so that's really exciting, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So we're going to rinse, wash, repeat, move into the enterprise over on that side. We have several initiatives. But I think really what I'm really excited about this year is getting all of these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of practices that we have speaking openly about their challenges, their successes. Each practice is a little bit different, right? They're their own ecosystems, and we have everything from a solo doctor in Friend, Nebraska, taking care of rural patients, to some of the bigger names in healthcare. And so we want to get the stories out there. Hey, what were your challenges? What was this? How did you accomplish this? And I want to really bring together a community where the people that are thinking about providing care management services can hear it straight from the other administrators, nurses, and doctors that are doing it, so that they can have that trust and learn what the best steps are towards success not hear it from a salesperson, but hear it from the community itself.
Right. That doesn't exist today. So that you're bringing that to bear is significant. So much opportunity. And again, providers want to learn from providers. Administrators want to learn from administrators. They're going to have all those blueprints for success. They're going to have all those best practices, those key strategies, which is exactly how I built my radio show initially. And so the fact that you're bringing that is fantastic. So I look forward to hearing much more about that as you develop and as you roll this out. So what are some of your goals for HIMSS25? And you've been coming here for, I think this is actually my 25th HIMSS. But you actually, you've been out to a lot of HIMSS yourself.
I have.
So what are your goals for the next couple of days here?
So, so we're meeting with partners like said that use our platform to provide that outreach. So obviously do some of that, but I love hearing what the thought leaders are doing. Right. Anish was just on the show. His presentation yesterday was amazing. Yeah. And so, what are people thinking about? There's so many super hot issues going on right now. So it's talking to other folks. What challenges are they facing? How are they addressing them? Super hot right now is AI.
Yes.
What does that mean? So it's literally meeting with others, getting ideas from others, sharing ideas with others. HIMSS has really been the place to do that for 2 decades.
It has. And this is great. I mean, I think we're 35,000 of our closest friends are here, or 30,000 at least. And it's exciting to be, to learn, to collaborate, to look for new partners, and then also how can we solve problems more quickly. I think that's what Anish brought that up. Actually, every guest before you even brought up the importance of partnerships and tackling all these things together, these problems together, because we can do it together much more quickly, much more efficiently. So I know that's your strategy also at ChronicCareIQ. So
yes, absolutely,
love it.
Absolutely.
And you, Fahad's here with you. I saw you, Fahad too.
He is.
Is he here?
Well, he's somewhere on the floor. He's no doubt solving.
He's one of the nicest men you'll ever meet in healthcare.
He's been a game changer for our organization. Everybody loves him, and he's here.
How's our friend Eric doing as well? We love Eric.
Eric is a machine.
He's your co-founder, CTO.
Yeah. It's the business is growing so fast now that it's some days you're crying happy tears, or you're just like, oh my gosh. So
I get it.
He's an exceptional thinker himself. He's an exceptional human being, and he's doing great.
He is awesome.
Eschenbach's amazing.
One thing I always love in my conversations with you, and certainly also I've been fortunate enough to talk to some of your customers as well. What would you say to an organization? Because a lot of people still, all the ROI is blatant with chronic care management, and certainly with a lot of your customers, what you guys publish. What are some of the best practices or advice that you would give to somebody who's looking at it, and the why? Because obviously you have so much again in your head and what you've learned from your customers, even your personal engagements. But what would you say to somebody who's thinking about doing chronic care management, and what's a good first step? Dip the toe in the water type of thing.
So I think number one, the first step is to realize that it's not just a reimbursement, and it's not just a box you check, right? So chronic care management is known for being a 20-minute code. If you get 20 minutes of non-face-to-face with the time, that doesn't mean 20 minutes on the phone. That could be refills, it could be pre-certs, it could be monitoring the patient. It doesn't just start there. It ends with the reimbursement, right? You have to engage patients. You have to keep patients engaged. It's an optional code. And if they're not intrigued and they're not engaged and they're not willing to do this, there's no return for them. They won't stay. You won't be able to build a second successful program. And then there's 30 different reimbursement codes. You have to know how to drop those into what buckets, and you're not going to be able to do it on your own without technology.
Right.
The third is, how do you get information that's valuable to the doctors and nurses? Because it has to work for patients, it has to work for doctors and nurses, and it can't present another problem in an administrator's day. And the patients have to see enough value that they'll pay the copay.
Right.
So research, it's not just, hey, I'm going to monitor patients and make a bunch of money. It's I'm going to engage, build a robust system to keep patients engaged and plugged in to the practice, so we know when they need help.
Yeah, and talking about some research, I was doing some research about your company and some of your practices. You have an 87% on average, an 87% engagement rate, patient engagement rate with your patients. Your practices do. That's amazing. 87%.
87 to 93% of patients engage weekly.
That's significant.
It is. Well,
that's
if you were
very
really
stressful.
sick, and and you just had to answer a few quick questions like, Mr. Ethington, are you short of breath today?
Yeah.
Is it better or worse than it was yesterday?
Yeah.
When was the last time you were dizzy when you stood up?
Yeah.
That's not difficult, right? When you make things
well, you
easy
created,
for
obviously,
patients.
you've done that. You've created those successful protocols. You've found the secret sauce there.
Yes.
You've done a great job. Yeah.
It's always, and we don't try to layer this onto patients that just barely meet the qualifications for getting paid, right?
Yep.
It's the goal is to help chronic patients that need help. It's not just to bill another charge.
Yeah.
And so those patients that do need help, they respond really well.
Yeah. Well, congratulations there, because I mean, being in this industry for so long that I have, and to see that kind of success, 87 and 93%, that's significant. Kudos to you and your team. Looking into the proverbial crystal ball, what would you see as a strategy, a trend that we need to be ready to navigate in 2 to 3 years from now?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question by recognizing the biggest problem in healthcare, which is chronic disease,
Absolutely.
right? 99% of the checks that Medicare writes are on behalf of patients with chronic disease, and it represents 93% of the total. If you're going to solve that problem, you have to interface with the patients directly, so personalized care around those patients. How do we do that at scale, which means autonomous patient engagement, reliable patient engagement, being able to separate what's important, what's not important based on that engagement, and getting to the right patient at the right time. I've said it for a decade. It's not a chronic care problem. It's a chronic communication problem, and that's going to get solved with patient engagement.
Yeah, I love it. Congratulations. What would you say as, what's the biggest thing that you want to accomplish this year? Personally. Or no, but personally, professionally, balancing the worlds that you live in there.
So we have 2 goals within the company. So personally, I really want to create an infrastructure where nurses, doctors, administrators can go and learn from one another, right? So
That's
that,
awesome.
so that because I set out to change how healthcare was delivered.
Well, you're
I've
going to do it.
poked over 30,000 holes in myself to stay alive, right? So patients have the need, and just being able to show these people that it doesn't have to be intimidating. It's not a huge risk. You just need to know what you're doing, and creating an environment where people can learn from one another. That's a personal and professional goal. Professionally in the business, we're now moving into much bigger size integrated care delivery networks and things like that, and making it all work at the 5,000 doctor level, not just the 50 doctor level.
Yeah. Congratulations, Matt Ethington. Keep up the fantastic work. You're very inspiring. Love what you do, and look forward to seeing you soon, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Great shot.
Cheers.
Thank you.